My favorite video game series of all time is actually going to become a TV series. Hey everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net, and Final Fantasy is without a doubt my favorite video game series of all time. I've been a huge fan since Final Fantasy VII. I picked it up for $10 in a bargain bin for PC because I actually didn't have a PlayStation at the time, and I played the heck out of that thing. It is still my favorite game of all time, and the series has definitely meant a lot to me. Now, some games are better than others. I personally don't like 8 very much. And 5, I think, is a lot of fun, but has kind of a weak story. However, one thing that has always confused me is why aren't there more TV series and movies of Final Fantasy? Like, this is a series that seems ripe for more traditional narrative venues. Like, okay, the Spirits Within movie, that wasn't very good. I will admit that. However, we've had a couple animes that also weren't very good. And yet, I keep thinking one of these days they'll crack it. One of these days they will make a good Final Fantasy series. And they have announced that they are going to be making it. So what are they going to be making it of? Is it going to be Final Fantasy 13? I mean, this thing would probably fit well in the CW. A love story like, Dawson's Creek, like, actually that would probably be 8. But, is it this one? No, it's not 13. Is it 10? I mean, that one's pretty narrative driven. No, it's not 10. By the way, this was assigned by the designer of the character, so one of my prized possessions. Well, maybe it's 9. Maybe it's going to be a kids show like on Cartoon Network or something. Nope, it's not going to be 9. Is it 7? Please? No, not with a remake coming out. So I know that's Crisis Core. The PC box is just super big. Well, maybe it's 8. Nope. Or maybe it's Final Fantasy 1. Maybe they're just going to go way back to the beginning. And maybe they can do this thing where each season is one of the games. Nope, it's not going to be that. It's going to be Final Fantasy XIV. And according to The Hollywood Reporter, Final Fantasy live-action TV series in the works from Sony, Square Enix. So, here's what it says. The iconic long-running role-playing video game franchise Final Fantasy is coming to television. Sony Pictures Television, Square Enix, and production company Hivemind, which produces The Expanse for Amazon, is currently working on Netflix's upcoming The Witcher series, so that gives us an idea of what we're dealing with. Will produce the live-action TV series, which will center on an original story set in the world of Erozia. Erozia, I don't know how to pronounce that. I've actually never really played Final Fantasy XIV very much. First introduced in the online game Final Fantasy XIV. Jason F. Brown's The Expanse, Sean Daniel, the Mummy franchise, and Dinesh Shamdasani, Sony Pictures' upcoming Bloodshot, will produce for Hivemind. Ben Lusting and Jake Thornton will write for the series and also serve as executive producers. Hivemind, which is also currently working with showrunner Lauren Schmidt-Hirsch on the Witcher television adaptation for Netflix, has a first-look deal with Amazon Studios for event TV projects. I hope this isn't an Amazon series because I don't have Amazon Prime and I have no intention of getting Amazon Prime. At that point, I would have to find other means with which to actually watch this. However, we'll see what happens. The new show will incorporate characters and elements from across the Final Fantasy franchise, which spans 32 years, 15 numbered entries in the main series, and over 3 dozen individual titles. While specific details about the new TV series plot remains under lock and Keyblade, Keyblade is Kingdom Hearts, just letting you know, I'm still a nerd at heart. It will explore the struggle between magic and technology in a quest to bring peace to a land of conflict. Well, that sounds like Final Fantasy VII, personally, but whatever. Final Fantasy hallmarks such as magic, airships, and of course chocobos will all be included in the upcoming series. Familiar faces and names from the series, including a version of Cid, the name of a character in nearly every Final Fantasy project, except one, I believe. The first one, will make appearances. The Final Fantasy series is marked by its colorful characters, fantastical settings, engrossing plots, and deep gameplay mechanics. Each numbered entry in the series introduced a new cast of heroes and a fresh fantasy world to explore, though particular staples of the franchise pop up in nearly every game. While the TV series will be the first live-action adaptation of the series, a number of animated films based on Final Fantasy properties have been released over the years, as well as an original story, Final Fantasy The Spirits Within, under the FF banner, starring Alec Baldwin, Steve Buscemi, and Ming-Na Wen, which debuted to a muted box office run in 2001. Oh yeah, I remember actually paying money to see that. Me and my friends, we all went, we were really excited, and it was like, wow. Talk about boring. Since its debut in 1987, the Final Fantasy franchise has sold more than 144 million globally, making it one of the most successful series in gaming. Recently, Square Enix made waves at this year's E3 convention when it announced a launch date and debut gameplay of its upcoming remake of 1997's Final Fantasy VII. So, anyway, this will have some people a little conflicted. On one hand, it's great that it's Final Fantasy. On the other hand, it's live action, and I think most of us want an animated Final Fantasy. When it's live action, I don't know. It's like, I think some of the fantasy elements might be muted, although we do have Game of Thrones, so they have gotten a lot better with special effects on TV. Also, I think a lot of people are disappointed that it's 14 that's being adapted and not one of their favorite entries, although I do want to mention, I think this is actually smart, because 14 is an online game, so therefore the creators can pull concepts, artwork, the world, and they can write whatever they want. Now, that could be a double-edged sword. They might not end up writing a Final Fantasy story. However, one of the downsides to adapting a video game story into a TV show is like it might not connect with everyone who don't play that game, and the people who play the game might be a little resistant towards it. So this might be a great way to introduce Final Fantasy as a TV show to a lot of people, and they have kind of hinted that they could maybe adapt some of the situations from the other games into the series, which means that this Final Fantasy series could honestly run for a very, very long time. So I am personally pretty excited about this. Now, for those of you who do want a little Final Fantasy in your life now, that's not a game, Netflix does have this series, Final Fantasy XIV Dad of Light, which is a drama where a father and son bond over playing Final Fantasy XIV. It's TV PG. It's fairly family friendly, so you can stream that for free. Also, you can go to Crunchyroll, and there's Brotherhood Final Fantasy 15. This is a short series. It's basically a prologue to, Final Fantasy 15, sharing some of the backstory. The episodes aren't very long. Honestly, this is more what I would like a new series to be, although we did have that Final Fantasy Unlimited anime, and that ended up sucking. And I also understand Square's reluctance to completely adapt their video games into TV series, because the stories is one of the main draws for Final Fantasy series. One of the exciting things about Final Fantasy is like the story. You want to see who's the new heroes, who's the main antagonist, how is it going to play out, what's the journey going to be like. And when you adapt that into a TV show, you might actually cannibalize reasons for people to play the game, especially if it's a very well made adaptation. So in the meantime, I am definitely looking forward to this. Like I said, I think there's a lot of potential for this one to be its own thing, but still be Final Fantasy. And heck, it might even prove to have inspirations for the game itself. Maybe some of the stories in the show will be so popular, Square Enix will, in fact, adapt it for the video game for special events, which would therefore lead to more sales of the game and people wanting to get involved in those events. So I think this was a smart move all around. And some people might say, well, why don't you base off Final Fantasy XI? Like, well, because Final Fantasy XI obviously isn't running anymore, which is my biggest pet peeve, by the way, with online games, is the fact that eventually the servers shut down, and it bothers me that there is a Final Fantasy game that I technically cannot play, although I know some people keep the servers up. So anyway, that's my opinion on this. I guess the only thing I would say that would be a huge mark against this happening is if Amazon did pick it up. I definitely will prefer if Netflix or if Hulu, heck, I would even be okay. This would make a lot of sense if Crunchyroll, if Crunchyroll really wants to get into the original content arena, this seems like it would make logical sense because you have the fandom there already. At least it makes a lot more sense than whatever it is they're currently working on. However, I'm going to leave it there. What do you folks think? Do you agree? Disagree? I would love to know. So comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly, and you get access to my Patreon's exclusive blog. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.